Looking at the standings over here, you're first in the conference in field goal percentage defense. What does that tell you about what your team has done the last X amount of games?
That's generally the best, the telltale sign. I mean, you could talk about points, but you can control points with tempo.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times people just say, well, we're only giving up such and such, but that had to do with more of the tempo you were playing. Field goal percentage is an actual statistical measure of what the other team's shooting against you, and I think the sample size is big enough now that maybe we are playing pretty good defense. I think the big guys inside help us probably more than we realize. I wouldn't say that either David or Richard are great shot blockers, but probably the combination of both of them gives us a pretty good inside deterrent. And actually, Allen's blocked some shots as well, and so I think it's been a little bit harder for people to get point-blank looks around the basket, and that's really helped us.
Allen blocked one quite emphatically the other day when he already had 3 fouls. Were you holding your breath for a moment there?
I don't recall the situation. I think he felt pretty safe with it, though.
Yeah. Is when you get a team, Mike, that starts playing well defensively, as you guys have, unlike shooting well, where that can kind of go away in a moment, does that tend to stick with a team now?
Well, I'm not sure we're out of the woods on that. Playing defense is not easy. You got to prepare yourself mentally. It's hard work. You're going to get tired, and you have to physically work, and you can't give in. But we've done a good job with that. Part of playing good defense is taking away another team's fast break, not giving them second chance opportunities. Although we have given up a lot more second chance opportunities than we would have liked based on other teams' offensive rebounds, but they haven't converted a whole lot of them. So, again, I think it goes back to our length inside maybe a little bit. It's just we've kind of had a little momentum building, and I think the kids are kind of like the fact that we're on a little bit of a roll and kind of recognized what it is that's gotten us there and are willing to put in the work.
How is the Stanford team now, that you see now, compared to the one that you played a month ago or whatever it was?
Fairly similar. I mean, they're good guys, or they're good guys. He's played an awful lot of players, different combinations of players. I think but I think the guys that have always been his standby still are. Powell, Randall, Eustace. Brown's been a very nice complementary player, a good defensive player, great glue guy, and Aaron's been up and down a little bit with his shooting, but Gage has hurt some people off the bench, certainly. So I think he knows who his go-to guys are. I don't really see any difference from early on. That's who they've been all year. They've been good.
What concerns you most about dealing with?
They got a lot of guys who can score the ball. Powell's a tough guard for us. He's not really a low post guy, back to basket guy. He's athletic, and we had a hard time guarding him last time. He can blow by you, and Eustace is just a workhorse type of guy. Hurt us on the boards and plays a lot of energy. They get going shooting the ball. They're pretty doggone tough.
Mike, you have 3 seniors playing their last game. None of them start, but certainly Brandon and Thurman have been real valuable to you. Talk about them a little bit.
Yeah, early on when we kind of lost a couple games that have hurt us in the pundits' valuations, we didn't have Brandon. And whereas Brandon maybe doesn't put up numbers that are gaudy, he was very, very important to us, to allow us to rest people, allow us to change the tempo, allow us to get stabilized, because he does that. And if somebody was not going good or got sideways, we didn't have anybody we could put in, and we missed him. And coincidentally, since we started winning, it's been about when Brandon came back. And so that, I think there's significance to that. And Robert just if you ever get against a guy that's big, I mean, for example, a year ago when Smith was at UCLA, he was the guy you had to put in. Just physically, David was light and box light, and so he's been very valuable to us, and he probably is our best finisher when he catches it facing the basket. He goes up and he's very strong. And the thing about Robert is he just wants to do the right thing. There's never I should have had this right. He just wants to try to do what he needs to do to help you win. So all three of those guys have been very valuable.
Is Robert a guy who, when he came here, has gradually figured out what it is he can and can't do, and he's
still got a little bit of work to go there. But he
He's not taking threes like some of your other big guys.
No, and Robert has made unbelievable progress. When he first started with the jump hook, and we said to him, "Hey, Robert, look, here's going to be your best shot. Try to work on the jump hook." When he first started, you went, "Oh, more, man!" But slowly but surely, it's evolved into a good play for him, and physically, he's changed. He jumps very well. When he gets a step to the ball, he jumps. He gets well above the rim. And so, and he's running well. Sometimes I felt like his body let him down a little bit. He got so tired he couldn't go, and that's not happening as much anymore.
His stamina's better now.
Yeah, he can go. Sometimes he doesn't feel quite right. He just says, "God, I can't move." But it's way better than it was 2 years ago.
As you look at your season to this point, you point to that Stanford game as sort of a turnaround. You won 10 of 12 since then. And
Well, we certainly didn't play very well. I don't know, was the Washington game after that or before it? I can't remember.
Before.
Washington's before that?
Yeah.
We had 5 of this first 7, I think, on the road. Not that should have been a big deal, but we lose to Washington at home, and we just looked terrible doing it. Since that time, I think we've, kind of gotten steadily better, and guys have figured out what they have to do. And I don't know if the Stanford game was a catalyst one way or the other.
Have you given any thought at all, other than when we ask you questions about it, to the Pac-12 tournament, or are you just kind of going one at a time here?
I don't know. I think that, things could change so much in this next week. Knowing that we have a bye is all that really does is tell us, it doesn't tell us anything about where we're going to be or who we might play, because there's so much can be sorted out in next week as to where everybody. I think the worst we can finish is 3rd as far as seeding. We could finish 1st, and those are probably really the only 2 possibilities. So,
You don't think second's possible?
I don't know. We could tie it for 2nd.
And then you'd win the tiebreaker, so you'd be
Probably. I don't know. I really don't care, to be honest with you. We're going to have a whole week to figure it out.
But too much time almost?
I know those guys aren't going to be showing up ready to practice every day. Like, oh boy, let's practice 7 straight days. We'll do individual work. We'll probably take a couple days and do individual work and try to do some fun things, because they're just not, there's not a whole lot more we could do. If there was something we could really change or put in, or, that they could keep them interested, we might. But
you can't scrimmage anybody or anything?
No. Mm-mm.
you get a sense that a short break would be good. How's the fatigue level on your team?
Well, we'll take a day Thursday, and we'll take a day Sunday, are the 2 days I've kind of got planned. That's why I say Friday, Saturday we'll probably do something, whether it be individual work or something, just to get together and do some things, and then we'll see how things shake out from there. I don't like taking 2 days in a row. Typically, we come off practice days where that first day we're not very good for whatever reason. It seems like you'd be fresher, but we tend to not be very good that first day.
Allen's probably got a pretty good lock on Player of the Year in the league. Your thoughts?
I think he'd have a chance.
Bad?
It's, there's certainly a lot of worthy candidates. There's no question. You could make a case for a lot of different players. I don't know if anybody's more valuable to their team than Allen would be. And some of those guys obviously are freshmen, and I don't know that you're really anxious to have a freshman be Player of the Year necessarily. Allen's got a pretty good body of work. the fact that he's a junior and so forth. And I mean, I think like I say, you can make cases for a lot of different people, but I think Allen has a real good shot.
Is one of the cases you could make for him that there's very few players in the league that probably draw the kind of attention and ahead of time?
I think that's valid. I think if you're game planning for us, if you were to look at your schedule and say, okay, we're playing Oregon or we're playing Washington or we're playing Cal, what you have to do is try to prevent Al from having a big game. And if you just didn't do anything, just said, we're going to play him straight up. We're not worried about Allen. We're just going to play everybody the same. He could have a big night. So I think from that perspective, he probably draws as much attention as anybody would in that regard.
So even on games when he's getting man-to-man coverage, people are cheating the second guy over there.
No question, and they're taking their best defender, and they're really taking him out of help and trying to top him and deny him the ball and trying to be physical with him, and then when he catches it, they'll jump a second guy to the elbow and that kind of thing. And you would do that with a lot of different people that are really good shooters.
Have you seen a progression of development in him where that sort of attention is a little less frustrating to him than it was early in the year?
He doesn't like to be physically handled. I mean, I think he would like to be able to cut where he would like to cut. Freedom of movement was supposed to be a point of emphasis in the league, and
seems like guys cutting through the lane these days are getting beat up more than ever.
yeah, I mean, it's. I think that we've got a new supervisor of officials, and I think one of the things that they've kind of tried to decide amongst them is that we're going to let it be more physical. We're not going to call as much. We're going to try to prepare them for the NCAA tournament. I don't know that that's being said. There wasn't a memo, but it appears to me that that's what's happening. There's an awful lot of times you'd look and say, really? Whether it be us fouling somebody else or them fouling us, really? No call?
He's a recipient of a lot of that, right?
He is, yeah. I mean, he's, trying to, the idea that you're supposed to be able to cut freely to a spot. I mean, if I beat you there, then that's one thing, but if I don't, then I'm supposed to. He's had some people, and then we've had some good officials that have recognized that and have whistled it a little bit, and then sometimes not so much.
Like the other day, when he didn't have big numbers, we didn't see that sort of body language that suggested he was kind of frustrated by it so much. It seemed like maybe.
Well, we were playing so well that I think that whole thing was, kind of just was, and he had seven boards, 5 assists. He was able to do other things, and others were having a good game. That was a very physical game. I mean, the first 5-6 minutes, it was like, whoa. I think both teams were like, whoa, and then I kind of adjusted to it, and it was fine. But it was like, okay, we're not. I mean, I'm sure Tad said something to the officials, and I said something to the officials, like, geez. They said, hey, we're passed on it at this end. We're going to pass on it at that end. So, okay.
When Allen was in here earlier, he said he's realizing that based on the recent play of the team, that he doesn't always need to reach his average for you to be successful. Can that be a sort of a liberating thing for him to not always?
Well, I think there were times when, the guys on the team thought every pass was supposed to be Al, and he was supposed to shoot every ball. And it was not healthy. It wasn't good. We were looking for him wherever he was. And since then, we've done a little bit better job of getting other people involved. Maybe when the post guys had the big game, I don't know who we beat, that, we had 13, 9, and 8 or something like that from the 3 big guys, and that all of a sudden it made things easier for us. I mean, if Al's open, he's going to make shots. And we would continue to go that. I tell these guys all the time, if Al's got an inside-outside pass for a shot, get it to him. That just makes sense. And but he doesn't get many of those. I mean, people are not letting him catch and shoot. That's not very smart strategy to do that.
Did some of that require him to get some confidence in his teammates too?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's there's always pressure to try to be somebody, and people telling you got to get this many points and you have to have this many touches and this has got to happen and that's got to happen. That's never really been Alan's thing. As far he's a pretty unselfish guy, and so I think once other guys were able to make plays, I think there were times maybe even last year where he felt that he was open and wasn't getting the ball, and that's not right. That shouldn't happen. If he's open, he should get it. And I think at times he felt like he wasn't, and you could probably look at tape and justify it. But I think now, if he's open, he gets it, and he realizes that people are doing a really good job at trying to take him out.